Mississippi House of Representatives is now in session. Please let the House come to order. Please stand as we're led in prayer today by the gentleman from Prentice. Remain standing thereafter for the pledge.
Would you join me in prayer? Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful and thankful that you are our Father. We're so thankful that you are a forgiving Father. As we recognize our wrongs from time to time from the study of your divine word, with contrite hearts we turn from those things and that we beg your forgiveness, knowing that you are a forgiving God and will erase them from our record. Father, we're thankful for your love in Jesus Christ by sending him to this earth, that we, through obedience to your will, might have redemption, and we could enjoy mercy, grace, forgiveness, love, and the hope of eternal life. Be with us as we make the decisions of today in regards to our constituency of this state. Give us a sound mind. That you will be with us through every exercise of this day. Guard, guide, and direct our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Join me in the pledge. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Hey. That was it. Seemed like it was something else.
No, if I did, it's a mistake.
Okay.
I don't know.
We good. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There's a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We'll have the reading of the journal. Gentleman from Rankin moves we dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committee.
We have reports on the calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Introductions of bills and constitutional amendments. Gentleman from Marion, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the introduction.
Is there objection? Hearing none, we will do that. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other papers.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We'll have the introductions of guests and visitors. Do we have any guests or visitors today? I do not see any. We will go to the calendar. Concurrence, non-concurrence. Any chairman have an item here they wish to take up? I do not see any. Motion to reconsider calendar. Any chairman have an item here they wish to take up? Jim from Alcorn, Mr. Bain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to move to table item number 6, Senate Bill number 2434.
Those opposed have 5 minutes. Any opposed? I don't see any. If you favor the motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything further? Jim from Alcorn. Okay, Jim from Jackson, Mr. Zuber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to table item number 5, Senate Bill 2336.
Those opposed have 5 minutes. Any opposed? I don't see any. If you favor the motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Jump from Grenada, Mr. Haran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to table item number 13, Senate Bill 295.
Those opposed have 5 minutes. Any opposed? I don't see any. If you favor the motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Any other item? Any other chairman have an item under the motion to reconsider calendar? Okay, I don't see any. Rules request to skip his calendar. Brings us to the appropriations calendar. Appropriations pass? Apparently so. Let me suspend business for a second. Brings us to the Ways and Means calendar. He passes. Late on the table calendar, passes. Brings us to the general calendar. Item number 1, Judiciary A, passes. Item number 2, Judiciary B.
Speaker, I would like to call up item number, I'd like to call up, if I could, skip item number 2 and 3 and just ask that that I be allowed to come back to them
Okay,
and go to Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. Item number 4, I'd call it up, Senate Bill number 2573.
Chairman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. Bill considered in gross read the third time, placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, let me make a motion to table that subject to call. I'm waiting on an amendment.
Okay, motion is to lay that bill on table subject to call. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Bill is laid on the table, subject to call. Next item is tourism, passes. Next item is Judiciary A. Item 6, passes. 7, Judiciary A, pass. Item 8, Agriculture, pass. Item 9, Public Property, pass. Item 10, Public Utilities.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can I pass and come back in just a few minutes? My attorney's not here.
Yes, sir. Brings us to number 11, Medicaid.
He is here now, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry. He
All
just
right,
walked in.
we'll go back to it then.
Let's go back to that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 10, Senate Bill 2798. Call it up. It's been read the third time. And have a strike call.
Okay, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do have an amendment to the strike call,
Okay.
Mr. Speaker.
You're recognized for your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, very simply, this amendment to the bill, if you recall back on February 9th, we passed House Bill 505 by a vote of 115 to 4. This would create the Mississippi Broadband Accessibility Act. Passed this chamber 115 to 4. It provides for it provides for a program that broadband providers could apply for grant money to be used in unserved areas across the state for broadband expansion. There is no money in this bill, but it does create a mechanism that would allow any funds that the state may put into it in the future or any federal funds that come down for broadband expansion. It would allow somewhere for those funds to be captured. It would allow for broadband providers to provide for grants. Again, this body passed this bill 115 to 4, went to the Senate, it passed, double referred in the Senate, passed one committee in the Senate, and then was killed in the Senate Appropriations Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, this was just it's here again, no money in it, but it does create a program, a mechanism for which we can receive funds. And, it's just another part of the broadband puzzle, broadband expansion puzzle here in the state of Mississippi. And that's what the amendment to the strike all does, Mr. Speaker, and I'll entertain any questions on the amendment.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment to the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now we're back on the strike all itself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the, and I'll try to be as brief as I can, this is the IOU, their investor-owned utility broadband bill. It simply allows our rate-regulated utilities the ability to lease their excess fiber capacity for broadband expansion across the state. Just real quick, Section 1 just says the legislative intent and determinations. Lines 127 and 136 in Section 1 just authorizes PSC to enter agreements for better mapping with universities, state or federal agencies. Section 2 is just definitions. Section 3 is the main intent of the bill on lines 348 to 361. It allows these rate-regulated utilities to lease its unused fiber capacity and its electrical transmission system to broadband providers for the purpose of providing broadband to unserved and underserved areas of the state. They will not be getting into the broadband business themselves with this legislation. They will just be leasing this capacity. Lines 370 through 445 is just easement language. It states that the easement and right-of-way agreements currently in place will remain unchanged. Line 446 to 451 states that revenues derived from the lease of fiber capacity for broadband services will be credited back to the electric service customers annually as determined by the PSC. Lines 464 to 471 prescribes that a rate-regulated utility that grants permission and enters into agreements with broadband providers to use this fiber capacity must do so on a non-discriminatory basis. And that lines 477, 485, PSC must approve any fiber optic grid and structure investments. And mainly, it does have a reverse repealer in it. It's going to conference. This is just, again, another tool that if we got fiber commodity out there, how we get there, but we'd like to get it to the people, how we get there. This will allow us to continue that discussion, and that's what Senate Bill 2798 does as a strike all, and I'll entertain any questions, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the strike call? Jim from Wayne, Mr. Barnett.
Thank you. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, I apologize. I was not following you on the original amendment that you offered to begin with. Can you re-explain that, please?
Yeah, okay, the amendment to the strike all is House Bill 505 that we passed on February the 9th. It sets up a mechanism for a grant program for third-party providers to be able to apply for grant funds or any funds that may be received. It creates a mechanism for these broadband providers to apply for these funds and be used for expansion of broadband services.
Thank you, gentlemen. And I'm back on the strike call now.
Yeah.
If you will, follow me over to line 317.
317.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe that's the section for unserved areas.
317, when talking about the definitions, the term unserved area means an area lacking access to adequate internet service.
Yes, sir. Is there any definition in this bill for adequate internet service?
No, it's not. And as we go through the conference process, gentlemen, I know that the original bill had some restrictions in there. Those are certainly would still be up for discussion, as would be anything. Obviously, as I think we all know, FCC data maps aren't accurate. That's one reason we'd like to have the provisions to allow the Public Service Commission to have the ability to try to obtain better mapping data and better accuracy. But no, there's nowhere in the bill that defines this, but it is going to conference. So we hope that we will be able to better define on what that may mean, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
And I'm going to try to form this in a question. You're
Sure.
my friend. I trust you. You know so much more about this than we do.
I don't know about that.
I just beg you to make sure that we don't step in the doing things for one company that we shouldn't. I know there were some rumors flying around about some things we did in another bill, and I'm just asking you to please make sure we don't step in on capitalism.
Well, and lady, I agree with you right there. This should be a free enterprise market, and whoever can provide the best service at the best rate, and we can get that fiber optic capacity out there. I think that's in the best policy of the citizens of Mississippi.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any further questions. Question occurs on the strike all. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything further on the bill?
Move final passage.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2798. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 112 yeas and 6 nays, the bill passes. Brings us to Medicaid, number 11. While we wait, I'm going to recognize the lady from Lincoln for an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my honor to introduce our doctor of the day, who has been friends of mine for a very, very long time. Dr. Joe Moak, he's an internal medicine doctor in Brookhaven, Mississippi, and probably one of the finest doctors I know. Please help me to make him welcome.
Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate your service today. Jim from Prentice, Mr. Arnold, what purpose you seek recognition? Passes. All right. You ready, Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker.
You're recognized.
It's been read for the third time. Senate Bill 2799 is the Senate bill's version of the Medicaid tech bill. What we did in this is we did a strike all in committee and inserted the House language. The lady from Jones also had an amendment about long-term receptive LARC, and so we put that in there, and that encourages the managed care companies to talk about long-term contraception. I've got two other amendments, one from the gentleman from Hines and one from the lady from Lincoln, and that is basically an explanation of the bill, and I'm going to explain those two amendments, and after that I'd ask that we adopt them. The amendment from the lady from Lincoln is to allow nurse practitioners to sign off on home health plans, and basically all we're doing is bringing the state law into CMS guidelines. And that's an explanation of that amendment. And the amendment from the gentleman from Hines.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Madam Clerk says she does not have any amendment from you. She will not allow you to proceed.
Oh, yeah, not the gentleman from Hines.
Okay, which amendment are we talking about here, gentlemen?
The gentleman on the home health from the lady from Lincoln.
Okay, have you explained that?
I have you, sir.
I'm sorry, you did?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions on that amendment? I don't hear any or see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. That amendment is adopted. You have a second amendment, gentlemen.
Yes, sir, Mr.
You
Speaker.
provided it to the clerk. Okay, you recognize to explain second amendment.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, the gentleman from Washington had came to me after our first meeting, and he's met several times. He has a passion for mental health, and basically what this does is it requires the managed care companies to use widely accepted professional standards of care, including LOCUS, which is the level of care utilization system for child and adolescents, and the level of care utilization system called Calculus in the American Society of Addiction Medicine Law. These are some standards that mental health providers are doing. I told the gentleman from Washington we'd work through the process, and that is an explanation of the amendment.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Amendment is adopted.
If there are no, and this bill does have a reverse repealer in it, and it will be going to conference. So basically, it has the House language in it and those three amendments I brought forward. So if there are no other questions, I'd move final passage.
Questions on the strike-all? I don't see any. If you favor the strike-all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything further on the bill?
Final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2799. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine. Madam Clerk, by vote 116 yeas and 3 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to, it's been read for the third time, Senate Bill 2252.
You're recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 2252 is a bill that's in progress. We've been meeting. I've spoke with the Director of Medicaid about this bill. I spoke with the gentleman from Grenada over corrections. And this bill has a reverse repealer, and what it's going to do is allow some paroled inmates to go to special nursing care facilities. Our hope is to identify some of these individuals that will take these parolees and potentially name them in a conference report. That way you would know they would not be going to just any regular nursing facility. And you can't be paroled if you've been convicted of a capital offense, a sex crime, or anything of that nature. But this is actually going to help us with a pending lawsuit as well. And so basically that is an explanation of the bill. It does have a reverse repealer. It will go to conference. I'm not fully sold on this bill at this point, but at this point in the process, being deadline day, I'd like to move it forward, and I can bring you back something more concrete in conference. And that's an explanation of the bill.
Questions? Gentleman, excuse me, lady from Harrison, Ms. Barnes.
Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely.
Will there be a list, a certain list of people? How will people apply for, to be able to receive inmates?
It would just be whoever the parole board paroles. Are you talking about facilities?
No, the facilities.
I'd be willing to ask them to reach out. I know gentleman from Grenada has been working on this bill, and if any facility is interested, I would just ask them to reach out to us.
So will there be a public notice that this is available for those facilities to apply?
I don't know anything about it being a public notice. I just know that there are some facilities that would like to accept some of these individuals, and we're just trying to move it through the process. But if you have any questions or concerns, be glad to get with you after this is over with and try to address them. Right now, I'm just trying to move it along through the process. It's going to help with the lawsuit. It could save money for the Department of Corrections. It's not going to cost Medicaid, and that's sort of what we want to do. I know I've had some individual members that have come to me that have expressed some concerns about it. And so what I've told them is we're still working on ironing out all the language with that regard.
Will there be a limit to the amount of facilities, the number of facilities that can apply?
I think it's 60 to 100 beds is all we're going to make available on this.
But facilities, not beds.
I'm not aware if there's going to be a limit on the facilities or not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Lafayette, Mr. Williams.
You yield?
Absolutely.
So it saves money for the Department of Corrections.
That's what we're told.
Does it save money for the taxpayer?
Well, the taxpayer, in my recollection, the 4 biggest items in the state budget, gentlemen, which you probably know, is education, Medicaid, corrections, transportation, and bond obligations. So I guess if we're not having to put as much in corrections, it's a switch, ain't it, gentlemen?
It shifts from the Department of Corrections to funding the nursing home. So I can understand why the nursing home would want to address this. Then my second question is, how do the people that are receiving care in the nursing home have any say?
What are you even talking about, gentlemen?
If we're going to shift the inmate from the Department of Corrections to the nursing home, who has say over that?
It's no longer an inmate, gentlemen. It's someone that's been paroled.
Paroled. The parolee. Does the nursing home, do the people in the nursing home have any say over whether that person joins them or not?
Gentlemen, we're looking at trying to create some facilities that would accept parolees. Are you trying to say people that would go to regular nursing homes?
Yes.
I'm not following your question, but if you can get it a little bit.
Well, I guess my primary question is, the one that would make sense to anybody is, does it cost the taxpayer more in the Department of Corrections or the nursing home?
It will cost the taxpayer, my understanding of it, it's going to cost more by leaving them in corrections, and it's going to cost more with the lawsuit by not addressing these medical needs.
The lawsuit that you're referring to is this specifically? I I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question I'm asking.
Gentlemen, as we're having to address some, I'm not the corrections chairman, but I know we're having to address some criminal justice reform and some other things because of some potential lawsuits and lawsuits that are out there. And this is just one thing in the process that can help move that along.
Okay.
Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry.
Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Absolutely.
And you've been good to me, and I'm going to be good to you right now, because I really like this bill. So, are we building nursing homes? Are we building facilities to put these patients in?
No.
So where, when we talk about facilities, where are they?
My understanding, there are some facilities that would like to accept parolees, and we're working through that in conference.
Okay, so we're not going to build anything, so that's good for the taxpayers. But when you, and I never did really understand why this bill was in Medicaid, because they're not on Medicaid unless you discharge them for parole and we put them in a nursing home, then they'd have to be on Medicaid. I'm trying to figure this out.
And there's a waiver that would be applied for in that regard.
And so why couldn't they just go to a regular nursing home? Because if you're dying, you're not probably going to gum anybody to death. You know, I just hate for us, and as you work through the process, gentlemen, please just keep in mind, I hate for us to make a mountain out of a molehill.
I have some concerns as well, lady, and we're going to work through it. I'm hoping I'll have a really good conference report to bring out to you that clarifies a lot of these issues and a lot of those concerns. But here we are on deadline day. I'm not going to bring something out that this body doesn't want to have. We're going to keep working through it. I know people have concerns, and we're going to try to address all those and hopefully have a finished product that the body can either vote up or down.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Grenada, Mr. Horan.
Thank you, Gentleman Yield.
Absolutely.
Now, to clear something up, we have a number, somewhere around 500 paroled inmates that we are still maintaining in custody right now. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct. My understanding of it.
And that's part and parcel of the concerns that I've talked to you about litigation costs, that at some point in time, we're going to be faced with the responsibility of either housing them somewhere or getting them out because of their increased medical expenses and their decreasing conditions. We've had those conversations, have we not?
Yes, we have.
Now, this is not a situation where you are asking for increase any eligibility. This is an attempt to address certain population in corrections that has already either received parole or qualify for parole because of their medical condition. Is that fair?
That is fair.
All right, and there's no CONs in this bill. There's no attempt to do anything on CONs. I've committed to you that I wouldn't ask for any type of expansion of bed space. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Lady from Hines, Ms. Yates.
Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to go through, we passed a bill last session that addressed a lot of these issues. And so I have some stats and statistics that I just sort of wanted to go through that will maybe clear up some of the issues that were asked earlier.
Okay.
I'm about to ask a question. I was just telling him what my question was going to be about. Thank you. Do you know the average cost per day to house one of these medically frail inmates?
I don't.
Would you be surprised that it's substantially more than the average cost to pay someone to take care of a medically frail person in a nursing home?
That would be a fair assumption.
Okay. So this will actually save the state money. It's not simply a dollar for dollar swap from corrections to Medicaid, correct?
That is my understanding, or I wouldn't have brought this bill out for the body today. And that's why I've committed that we're going to continue to look at it and have more concrete, more definition, and that way when the conference report is signed, I think I can have a lot of people's questions and concerns alleviated.
And there's actually a relatively small portion of the prison population that consumes a significant cost of the prison MDOC budget due to these medical conditions. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So this would actually be a tax dollar saving mechanism. Is that correct?
That's what we hope it does, yes.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Monroe, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman Neal?
Absolutely.
So in this, and conceptually, obviously, this would, then any nursing homes that would accept paroled inmates would have to agree to accept them, right? Is that correct?
Yes, that's what we're looking towards.
Gotcha. And also, we're talking about paroled inmates, that the parole board says, you know, they'll parole them, so now they're free from the corrections facility, now they can go to this nursing home.
That's right.
And as far as the right now, they're actually in the Department of Corrections, which the taxpayer pays 100% of that medical bill. But these, am I correct in saying that these inmates, once paroled, qualify under federal guidelines for Medicare and Medicaid?
I don't know if that's absolutely true.
But in concept, these guys, or in theory?
Conceptually, I'll give you that, gentlemen.
Gotcha. So basically, we're just moving people that would be paroled out of Department of Corrections and the state taxpayer costs there into the Medicaid, Medicare program.
What we're trying to do is try to figure out a way to allow individuals that are qualified for parole and as conditions of that parole to go to that facility, and should help alleviate costs on the corrections and the Department of Medicaid.
Gotcha. I know we've been working on this for a while. Appreciate you working on it.
All right, thank you.
All right, gentleman from Harrison, Mr. Felcher.
Gentleman, you?
Absolutely.
If we were to transfer an inmate under this program conceptually, the match for Medicaid, if they qualify, is what? Dollar for dollar?
3 for 1.
3 for 1. If we leave them in corrections and we're paying for it, what's the match?
100% state fund.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I don't see any further questions. Question now recurs on the strike all. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any further questions on the bill?
Final passage, Mr. Speaker.
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2252. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Everyone voted. Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 119 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Inasmuch as today is deadline day, we're going to skip the local and private calendar, which brings us back to the top of the original calendar. Brings us back to the concurrence, non-concurrence calendar. Any chairman have an item here they wish to take up? Jim from Pike, Mr. Mims.
Mr. Speaker, I come to the podium.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, we're back on the what calendar are we on?
Concurrence or non-concurrence?
I will pass on that one.
You going to do what now? All right. You recognize Chairman Judd B.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On concurrence for non-concurrence calendar, item number 7, item number 3, I'm sorry, House Bill number 796. I would move to invite conference.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? I don't see any. If you favor the motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion to invite conference prevails.
And one more, Mr. Speaker, item number 5, House Bill number 87, again has a reverse repealer. I'd ask that we invite conference.
Motion is to invite conference. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion to invite conference prevails. Is there any other item on this calendar that any chairman wishes to take up at this time? Okay, I do not see any. It brings us to the motion to reconsider calendar. Any chairman have an item here they wish to take up? Chairman of Public Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 2 on the motion to reconsider calendar and move that we do reconsider the bill for the purpose of offering amendment.
Motion is to reconsider. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The bill is back before the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we reconsider amendment number 1 to the bill.
Motion is to reconsider amendment 1. If all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, we offered an amendment yesterday based on the lady from Harrison's concerns, and I think our spirit was in the right place, but after talking to Dr. Dobbs, the Department of Health, what the amendment was too broad. And so, Mr. Speaker, I would like you to recognize the gentleman from Pearl River to offer an amendment to amendment number 1.
Okay, gentleman from Pearl River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. In the amendment we passed the other day, we included a catch-all provision at the end of the list of the trisomy conditions. That catch-all provision, unintentional to us, Dr. Dobbs made us aware that it could encompass thousands of different disorders, and the Department of Health just simply isn't capable of keeping up with that. So what we are doing is we're going to leave all of the listed trisomy conditions in there, which is going to be trisomy 13, trisomy 18, trisomy 21, which includes Down syndrome, Edwards syndrome. And that is an explanation of the amendment. This mirrors the Minnesota version of this act.
Have you concluded your explanation of the amendment, gentlemen?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Any question on the amendment to Amendment 1? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment to Amendment 1, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That puts us back on Amendment 1. Anything further on Amendment 1?
No, sir, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on Amendment 1? Does anybody even know what Amendment 1 is? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Amendment 1 is adopted. Anything further on the bill?
No, sir. I move final passage.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2746. You favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 118 yeas and 4 nays, the bill passes. Judge B.
Motion to reconsider calendar. Mr. Speaker, item number 4, I would ask that we reconsider the bill by which it passed.
Motion is to reconsider the vote. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The bill is back before the House.
I would move to table the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Motion is to table. Those opposed have 5 minutes. I don't see any. If you favor the motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Any chairman have another item on the motion to reconsider calendar? I don't see any. Rules passes. Appropriations passes, and it brings us back to Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It appears we're at a high point in the morning, so I'll go to item 3, Senate Bill 2765.
been read the third time. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an amendment.
Okay, you're recognized for an amendment.
Before we do that, Mr. Speaker, we need to table the proposed committee strike-all.
All right, motion is to table. Those opposed have 5 minutes. Any opposed to the motion to table? Okay, I don't see it. You have, Gentleman Madison, you oppose the motion to table, the strike-all?
Well, Mr. Speaker, regardless, I've got a point of order for the original bill. If we do table the motion, if we do table the committee amendment, I have a point of order on the original bill.
Okay, well, I think the gentleman has some amendments that are going to fix some of that. So,
well, then, Mr. Speaker, I'm opposed to, I'd like to speak against the motion to table.
okay, you're recognized to speak against the motion to table.
It's my secrets. Looking at my stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, the people already spoke on this. 74% of the people of Mississippi said they wanted Initiative 65, and there's no reason we should be messing with this. The Supreme Court will rule in 1 month on whether or not the legal challenge related to Initiative 65. So there's no reason for us to be voting on this. The language was substituted. The gentleman honored a request to substitute the language in committee for Initiative 65, and now we're here before you tabling the language that was substituted in committee for Initiative 65. This whole thing is a ruse. We all know it. Nobody believes that this bill will turn into anything that looks anything like Initiative 65. This is absolutely ridiculous. What's the point of recognizing me? When we walked into Ways and Means, the gentleman said, I will recognize you for a motion to substitute the language of Initiative 65 for the Senate bill. That was the only thing I was authorized, that was the only thing I was recognized to do, was offer the language of Initiative 65. And the gentleman knew the whole time we were going to walk in here and table the language of Initiative 65. He had no intention of making a good faith effort to honor the will of 74% of the people. So I have a point of order on the underlying bill. So I'm requesting to be recognized for that. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask also that you oppose tabling the bill that came out of committee. We don't need a vote on this today. This is ridiculous. The people already voted on this. They voted 74%. There is no benefit to sending this to the board today. We send this to the board today, you're screwing over everybody who voted for Initiative 65, and you're screwing over everybody who voted against Initiative 65. This is a no-win situation, and we are playing games with the voters, and I ask that you oppose it, and ultimately we need to make this entire thing go away.
Gentleman Adams, what purpose you seek recognition?
A point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, well, we're on a motion to table right now, gentlemen. You'll have to.
At some point, I'd like to raise a point of order about the strike-all amendment.
Okay. Motion is to table the strike-all amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. All right, the noes have it. Motion to table strike-all fails. That puts us back on the strike-all amendment, gentlemen. You can offer amendments to the strike-all if you wish.
We, just give me just 1 second, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman Adams, what purpose?
As to the strike-all, I still have my points of order to strike-all since it's back in front of us.
Okay, well, the gentleman, I think, has amendments to the strike-all that may fix the point of order. We're going to let him offer his amendment first.
What's going on? Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
I would suggest the strike-all is in front of us. I raise these points of order about the strike-all.
Okay, you're not recognized for a point of order right now, gentlemen.
Thank you.
The gentleman is going to offer amendments to the strike-all if he chooses, and then we will consider points of order. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear. I just disagree with you.
I appreciate that.
Sorry, okay, no problem.
We'll get our procedure straight in just a minute, Mr. Speaker. I would move to offer a substitute amendment to the committee strike-all.
Okay, you're recognized.
Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, I thought I was going to get a chance to respond to the gentleman who is...
Only those opposed have a right.
Thank you. We'll address that
Those
here.
opposed to the motion to table, only those opposed to the motion table can speak. So you did not have an opportunity to respond, gentlemen.
Okay.
Now you're recognized.
Am I recognized now, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, sir.
So what I would have said, had I had the right to respond, is that the gentleman just lied to everybody in this body. Because when you assume things, your mama probably taught you what happens when you assume things. Okay, so what the strike all does, what I learned in this committee, we recognized the gentleman from Madison to present an amendment. And the amendment was to strike the entire Senate bill and put it with, if I said it once, I said it at least 3 times, the exact language of 65, in so much as you can take constitutional language and put it into a statute. Now, there are a few changes, stylistic, that have to be made, that the drafters have to make when you go from constitutional language to statutory language. Okay? But in doing that, the amendment brought forward code sections that the lawyers felt needed to be brought forward. So I don't know what the gentleman was talking about. This strike-all, the substitute that we're on now, that we're offering, is that. It removes those code sections that allegedly the gentleman had an objection to. I don't know. I've heard that. He hadn't come to me directly. But this is the exact language, except for a few things, of 65. The exact language. So here we are. I'm up here rocking this baby. The Senate spent till 1 a.m. working on this a month or so ago. And this baby has fallen in my lap and has been given to me to rock. Now, you've heard a lot of things, but I'm going to tell you first of all what this amendment actually does. It is the exact language for 65, except it removes the taxing provisions. It takes the tax out. So, gentlemen, you should like that. Okay? It also removes the line of credit and removes the ITS language in the bill. Other than that, is my conversation with counsel, it is the exact language of 65. And I'm asking this body to allow this to continue in the process, to go to conference, and I give you my word, I will not bring back anything similar to what the Senate sent us down here. This is as much as you can get, close as you can get to the exact language of 65. Let me ask you this. The people have spoken. The gentleman is exactly right. I've said it publicly, I don't know, 100 times now, that I am in favor of a legitimate medical marijuana program. I think the people are in favor of it. I think they spoke to that. Now, where we find ourselves legally at this point in time is that there's a serious challenge to the constitutionality of that initiative process sitting across the street at the Supreme Court. My question to you is, what happens if the court overturns that initiative process that was voted on last year? Where are we? I'll tell you where we are. The people have no program, none. If we don't enact statutory changes to allow a program to exist in statute, then there is no program in that event. And so the people of this state, the investors who have invested millions of dollars in getting us to this point, are left holding a bag. So I'm giving this body my word that I'm not going to bring, if this makes it to conference, I will bring nothing back before this body that looks anything like what the Senate had. And I told the gentleman that. And we spent about an hour in my office one day a week or so ago. And so what this substitute amendment does is what I just explained. It's the language of 65, what the people voted on. That's it. So the gentleman to get up here and make assumptions and tell y'all that I'm trying to trick somebody or do something that's funny, it's just not true. I've never done that, and I'm not going to do that. I have no interest in doing that. I'd rather go home before I stood before this body and do something like that. And most of these people in this body know me. You know me. And I have not ever done that to you, and it's my intention to never do anything that's tricky like that. So I am asking y'all, as the Ways and Means Chair of this body, I am asking y'all to vote with me to move this process along, to show some good faith to the Senate who worked to 1 a.m. on this matter, and for the people who really do want a legitimate medical program in this state that would honor the wishes of 70% of the folks. Let's enact it. Let's continue it along the process. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. In fact, it is the only way we can make a fail-safe if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the city of Madison. It's the only way.
Gentleman's time has expired
Thank
on
you.
his amendment. Anything further on the amendment? Jim from Madison, yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, I have a point of order on the amendment as well as the underlying amendment as well as the original bill.
You sure about that?
Mr. Speaker, can we get a written copy of the amendment? I'm assuming parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your point of order, gentlemen.
Well, the point of order is that the amendment amends by reference other code sections in Mississippi law.
Then I need for you to put that in writing to identify what code sections that you contend it amends, and then we will let legal counsel consider that.
And Mr. Speaker, in order to do that, I would need a copy of the amendment, which I don't have. Can we get a hard
It's
copy?
on the computer, gentlemen, so you'll have to look at it on the computer.
And Mr. Speaker, you've offered in the past that we do have a reasonable amount of time to do that. I'll work on it immediately, but we do have a few minutes to do that, to put it in writing.
Absolutely, John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Should we not vote on the strike-all amendment first before a point of order can be raised?
Well, we've offered an amendment to the strike-all, so we're not on the strike-all amendment.
The amendment is what I'm referring to.
The amendment, the gentleman has raised a point of order on the amendment. We have to consider his point of order on the amendment. We're not on the strike-all right now. We're on the amendment to the strike-all. Gentleman from Adams, Mr. Johnson, do you have anything further on the amendment?
Yeah, I have a point of order as well. I'll put it in
Okay.
writing.
Thank you, sir. Lady from Madison, Ms. Ford, you have a question?
Speaker, is it ethical for us to be offering strike-alls, amendments, point of orders when we have everything to gain financially in this arena?
Lady, I don't make decisions on ethics. I make decisions on the rules, so that's what we're trying to do.
Wonder if we should have an ethics meeting, because I believe that it could possibly be
Lady, you have the right to file an ethics.
special interests
You have,
involved in this
you have the
situation.
right to file an ethics complaint if you wish. You can put that in writing. I'll get it to the committee.
Thank you.
Lady from Pearl River, Ms. Wilkes, what purpose you seek recognition? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I had a friendly question for the chairman.
Okay, well, at this point, the bill's been set
Okay.
aside, so we'll have to await the ruling of the point of order. All right. Anything further at this time on the Ways and Means calendar? Apparently not. Brings us back to the general calendar. Any chairman have an item on the general calendar? Jim from Neshoba, Mr. Bam. All right. Gentleman from Alcorn, Chairman of Judd B.
I agree. We're taking a break.
Mr. Speaker, earlier I laid a bill on the table subject to call. I'd like to call it back up.
Okay, you recognize that's item number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 2573. Motion is to take it off the table. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You recognize.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. There was an amendment to put in a reverse repealer.
Okay.
You should have it. The amendment simply is to put in a reverse repealer, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Any questions? Lady from Pearl River, you have a question on the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, will you yield?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does this have any new code section in it, your amendment?
Have any what?
Any new code section in your amendment?
Not to my knowledge, it's just amending some new code sections.
Okay, so there's no new code section in your amendment?
Not as to the amendment. The amendment is putting in a reverse repealer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, I don't see any further questions. If you, there is one. Gentleman from DeSoto, Mr. Eubanks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if this is, I have a question for the general bill. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was going to say, I've never seen a reverse repealer get this much attention. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Amendment is adopted. Now we're back on the bill. Gentleman DeSoto, you have a question on the bill? You in or out?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Yes, sir, thank you. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
A bunch of us have been contacted by our sheriffs.
I've talked to sheriffs. I've talked to my sheriff as well. I talked to my sheriff, who is one of my dearest friends, and I told him, I said, I'm putting a reverse repealer in it. He said, fine, put a reverse repealer in, let's talk about it. Some of the stuff, yeah, and let me explain what the bill is doing first. What the bill is doing is keeping up, authorizing the Department of Public Safety to get a centralized database of a jail census, keeping track of who's in jail, how long they've been there. That information, gentlemen, is already collected, and we have to make a report every 6 weeks to the senior circuit judge. This is just putting it in a central database to do that. There are some issues with it. I give you that. I have some issues with it about bringing this bill out. But I wanted to put a reverse repealer in it because there's some stuff that I think we can hone in on and narrow the scope of it to take the onus off of our sheriffs and also to keep the intent of the bill alive, which is to save the state some money. Because I come from Corinth, as all of you know. Corinth itself was sued on this very matter. We had a multi-million-dollar lawsuit because of these issues. And this is trying to protect those cities, those counties, and that state, and this state from further lawsuits about keeping track of inmates and seeing if they've been in jail too long, if they've been treated for their maladies, or whatever the case may be. So it does have merit in the sense that it's trying to save this state a whole lot of money, but I also am sensitive to the concerns of what the sheriff's talking about. That's why I put a reverse repealer in this, to see if we can find a marriage between the two. If we can't, the bill's not going to go any further.
Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Kerr.
And I'm getting my phone blown up right now from sheriffs.
I understand.
Is this something we really need? Can you tell me why we really need this bill?
Yeah, I think I just did, but I'll say it again. It just has to do with we are facing lawsuits in cities and cities and counties and counties. Like I said, Corinth has suffered this with people sitting in jail way too long. That's taxpayers' money that's being spent because of people just falling through the cracks, not going to court. I mean, in East Webster, in Webster County, Yapur, there was a situation where a girl stayed in jail for, I think, 2 years without even getting to court, without even seeing a judge. And she was sued, and the state and the county had to pay millions of dollars for that.
So my sheriff is saying the census is reviewed by the circuit judge.
I just said that. Every 6 weeks, the circuit judge reviews the census. This is keeping it more of a centralized. I can tell you, your circuit judges don't really want to be doing this. And this is keeping it under the Department of Public Safety, making a centralized database that everything's reported to them.
Thank you.
You want to offer your amendment? You need to do it before we vote on it. Yeah. So ask him to be recognized. Yes. Yeah. You need to offer your amendment.
All right, I'm sorry, we have another amendment. Are you speaking?
I'm offering an amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Have you handed it to the clerk? Okay, you're recognized for your amendment.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The junior gentleman from Rankin County, I believe, in House Bill 747, I believe, is that right, gentlemen? Offered up the county work program bill that we that authorized the regionals, MDOC, and the county jails to offer work release program that allows them to work out of the jail and have some re-entry aspects to it. That bill is taking on some water in the Senate. and I'm offering an amendment that would include that language for House Bill 747. That's the explanation of the amendment.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. In favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything further on the bill? Yeah, you yield for a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry.
I'm sorry, I have one more, and thank you. Who's going to pay for this?
I shouldn't be any cost. I mean, they're already doing it, and I think there's software out there. If there is any cost, it's minimal.
So can we get a physical note on this bill?
I don't think one's needed.
Well, if it's going to conference, can we get a physical note on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, I don't see any further questions. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2573. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 94 yeas, 23 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, I will be recognized for the general calendar. I think item number 2, Senate Bill 2121.
Okay, you're recognized.
And ask that you recognize the gentleman from Pearl River.
Gentleman from Pearl River is recognized.
Okay. How do I do that? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, before we get started, I have an amendment in here to add a reverse repealer.
Okay.
I believe the clerk has it.
Questions on reverse repealer? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hold on, gentlemen. I don't think we call that bill up. Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. Bill considered and gross read the third time, placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now you recognize.
Senate Bill 2121 directly addresses and criminalizes a growing online threat, the posting and sharing of intimate images for public viewing for the purpose of causing someone harm. Victims of this type of crime are unique in their suffering in that they remain in a cycle of exposure and victimization indefinitely. Once this intimate material is shared on the internet, removal and complete erasure of those materials is nearly impossible due to the ever-changing nature of cyberspace. In addition, the passage of this bill will add another layer of protection to victims of human trafficking, another tool in the arsenal of law enforcement and prosecutors as they combat these predators. Pimps often control and manipulate their victims by using these photos and videos to coerce them into the industry, to remain compliant, and to blackmail them if they attempt to escape. A first offense under the statute will be a misdemeanor, with subsequent offenses being felonies. However, if a first offense is committed with the intent to gain some sort of financial advantage, that would be an automatic felony similar to regular extortion. 46 other states have statutes targeting this activity. This statute will be modeled after the Texas statute, and that is a brief explanation of the bill. I'll yield to any questions.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2121. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 117 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Any other chairman have an item? I don't see any. Gentleman from Madison, you got your point of order ready? Please bring it forward. Give it to council.
Can I ask one question, counsel?
Give it to council. Any other chairman have an item on the general calendar at this time? All right. Then let's recess subject to call. pending the point of order. Jim from Holmes, can I get a motion to recess subject to call?
Speaker, I move the House stand in recess, subject to call of the chair.
Heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. House in recess, subject to call. Gentleman from Madison, your point of order is not in proper form. The rulings of previous speakers and myself as well have been that you must identify the code sections which, okay, there you go. All right. He has now provided that to give that to council. We'll suspend business once again. Gentleman from Harrison, Mr. McKnight, can I get a motion to recess subject to call?
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion, we recess subject to call.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. House in recess subject to call.
I don't think, sorry.
consulted with counsel. This seems to be the same situation we faced yesterday or a couple of days ago with points of order. Ladies and gentlemen, the points of order have to be specific. They have to state what code section is violated and how or why you contend that code section is amended by reference. The gentleman's point of order does not state that, so it is not well taken. So that puts us back on the amendment. Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry, what purpose do you seek recognition?
I have a point of order.
Okay. We're going to receive all points of order right now. If you have a point of order, then you need to bring it forward. This will be the last time we will consider points of order on this bill. So I need all points of order. On this amendment, excuse me, on this amendment. Okay, we got three, looks like. Going to go back to the calendar. Does any chairman have an item on the calendar they wish to take up? Because this is deadline day. So we're not going to take up, if there's no more to be taken up on the calendar, I need to know it. Rules calendar, you want to do some rules? Jim from Madison, what purpose you seek recognition?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker. When you're asking for points of order, just to be clear, you're asking for points of order on what is currently before the House, not the underlying bill or anything else. So, Mr. Speaker, just to be clear, we will have an opportunity to offer points of order for the, if
on this amendment, we're taking points of order on this amendment right now.
And Mr. Speaker, we will have an opportunity to offer points of order on other things other than this amendment if this amendment is ruled not well.
It will depend on how this amendment goes, yes, sir.
Okay, but I just want to make sure we will have an opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Recognize Chairman of Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If we can go to the rules calendar, and if there are no objection, I would like to bring these up in blocks.
Okay. Which ones you want to take up in a block, gentlemen?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the rules calendar, go to number 2, SCR number 502. Number 3, SCR number 517. Take those two up in a block and move to pass.
Okay. Anyone wish to have one of these set aside? I don't see any. Questions on these resolutions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on these resolutions. If you favor the resolutions, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry. I may not have said that. Favor the resolutions, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Close machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 122 yeas, 0 nays, resolutions are adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The next, if there are no objections, are HCRs, and I'd like to bring those up in a block.
Items 4 through 13, gentlemen. Anyone wish to have one of these set aside? Items 4 through 13. I don't hear any. Any questions on these resolutions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Excuse me, Madam Clerk. Give her a second, get it programmed. Open the machine. If you favor the resolutions, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 122 yeas, 0 nays, resolutions are adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If we could take up the next HRs in a block, starting with HR number 14.
Number 14 and going all the way to item
30.
30. Any questions on these resolutions? I don't see any. If you favor the resolutions, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything further?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker, if we could go to SCRs, the last group would be number 31 through 37.
Anyone wish to have one of these items set aside? Jim from Alcorn, Mr. Bain.
Mr. Speaker, I think the gentleman from Octiba Hall needs to have 32 set aside.
All right.
No, sir.
Number 32 aside.
Vote on Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss coach.
Any other one wish to set aside? I don't see any. Any questions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on these resolutions. If you favor the resolutions, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay.
Did we actually set aside 32? Mr. Speaker, did we actually set aside number 32?
Yes, we did. Give Madam Clerk a moment. She had to reprogram the machine.
That one may be dead.
All right, I think we got it. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor these resolutions, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 122 yeas, 0 nays. Resolutions are adopted. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, if we would go to number 32, SCR number 527.
All right, any questions on that? Jump Scott, Mr. Miles. Hang on, gentlemen. Try it now.
With the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
The gentleman from TIPA and myself would like to know if you could put a reverse repealer on this bill.
I would love to put a reverse repealer on this bill, but I would object to it just in principle. Thank you.
Jim Choctaw, Mr. Hood.
Gentleman Yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, are you from Octiba Hall County?
I am from Octiba Hall County.
Would you be opposed to a friendly amendment that congratulates Mike Leach and the Bulldogs on winning the Armed Forces Bowl?
I would not be opposed to that at all, but I would suggest filing an HR separate to this.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the resolution, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 122 yeas, 0 nays, resolutions are adopted. Anything further, gentlemen?
No, sir. We yield.
All right. You wish immediate release? Any objection? Hearing none, we will do that. All right, anything further on the calendar? Any chairman got an item? Keep in mind, it's deadline day. You don't bring your bill up, it'll be dead. All right, I don't see any further, Chairman. I will take that as a sign that we have completed the general calendar. If I'm wrong on that, y'all need to let me know. All right. Well, we'll wait to hear from council. Give me a motion to recess subject call, gentleman from Itawamba or Octavia Hall. I forgot, you're back.
Mr. Speaker, move we stand in recess, subject to call.
Heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. House in recess subject to call. Please let the House come back to order. Council continues to, I have not spoken with council. I don't know the status of the points of order. Chairman has come to me though, however, and has a motion he wishes to make. Hold on, gentlemen. Try it now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I told this body from the very beginning that I'm rocking this baby. We didn't have this bill in the House. This is a Senate bill. I think at this point in time, we have shown the Senate that we have made a good faith effort to address the issues in this bill that they sent us. And it is my opinion, and I just discussed this with the Speaker, that this is the end of the road. I think the will of this body does not want to move this matter forward, and I'm going to respect that, and therefore I move to lay it on the table.
All right, motion is to lay it on the table. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Bill is laid on the table. All right, anything further on the calendar? Gentleman to show over, Mr. Bounds. Try it now, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to hold a bill on a motion to reconsider on yesterday's calendar. General calendar, item number 45, Senate Bill 2018. Hold it on a motion to reconsider.
Okay, we will do that. Any other matter? Okay, I've appealed to the chairman. Nobody's come to me. So everything that's left will not survive, if we're good with that. Excuse me, Chairman of Ways and Means, there were two other items under your calendar. You good with passing those? All right then, Chairman of Appropriations, you passing yours. Very good. Announcements, Madam Clerk. We done. We plan to adjourn, ladies and gentlemen, for the day. 10 o'clock in the morning, gentlemen. Madam Clerk.
Appropriations will meet tomorrow at 10 in room 201A.
Announcements by the members. Gentleman from Perry, Mr. Gooden.
If you hold on this.
Gentleman from Perry, Mr. Gooden. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I would like to change my vote on SB 2573 to no.
Any objection? Uh-oh. We got some objections, gentlemen. Sorry about that. Change the gentleman's vote. Gentleman from Lamar, Mr. Tubb.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to change my vote also to a no on SB 2573.
Any objection? Change the gentleman's vote. Gentleman from Prentice, Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like a request on yesterday's calendar, item number 72, Senate Bill 2795, change my vote from a yea to nay.
Any objection? Change the gentleman's vote. Gentleman Jackson, Mr. Reed.
Mr. Speaker, as the lady announced, Appropriations had scheduled a meeting for 10 in the committee room. Could I ask, are we going to be, when you bring us in tomorrow, is it going to be long or is it going to be short? So I could...
No, I anticipate we won't be here very long. All we'll have to do is...
could I make it immediate after
you can do that.
Okay.
That would probably be better.
Full appropriation after adjourn.
Any further announcements by the members? All right, I don't see any. Recognize the gentleman from Octavia Hall for the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. in the morning.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. House adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.